Welcome, we are back with another episode of Zero to Hero, Tank Edition. You guys have spoken and want me to stick with VDH and go through all the other tanks one by one. In this episode, I did want to talk about the strengths of VDH, how I pull, and prepare for dungeons I've never played before. There is some pulls that are a little bit confusing, but for me, I find these are way more pug friendly. I've also just been learning the routes and dungeons, so everything I say isn't 100% just yet, just things I've picked up along the way. It's a new week as well, so that means Vault Day.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
And luckily for us, we picked up ourselves a set piece. Nice. Now let's kick things off with an Ara-Kara. The first pull is so nice on VDH, and I will never stop saying that. Because you're basically flying the whole way there, you take 0 damage, and as long as you aggro the mobs with your glaive and sigils, and your teammates don't go full zug, you can easily execute this pull with no problems. Another great thing about this pull is you don't need to use Lust, and can save it for the first boss. Ideally, you would want to pull the Elite, but with important kicks like the Fear on the Elite and Resonating Barrage on the Spiders, mixed with all the poisons, I think it's just not a good idea in pugs. I mean, just look, I deliberately used my kick earlier just to see if the group used the kick button, and you guessed it right, of course no one kicked. It's a good thing I saved misery. With the Elite, you ideally want to pull these 2 spiders, but I kind of forgot, so I did this pull instead. It's a pretty rough pull for the healer because the amount of poisons that go out on the group, but who actually cares about that stuff? We're here to send it. Go big or go home, baby. Nah, but for real, be careful. During the second boss, we all know Alert and Shrill slaps hard, but save an ability like Sigil of Flame or Fell Devastation just to group up the adds that spawn just after the cast goes off. With the first boss, I like to position myself near the eggs. This is because I want max uptime on my team's DPS. The only thing the DPS and healing actually need to do is not stand in the red zone. Because these are fixated adds, if they just stand in the green area, there's no way the boss can gobble them up. That's probably the only hard bit of the fight. If you died to the swirl, you're just an idiot. I ended up going right after the first boss. This isn't right anymore. Go left. But we'll talk about that another time. For now, let's just jump over to the second boss. The second boss is kinda tough, but not really. I used to think it was really easy, but since healing it in the Creator Challenge video, I've come to not really like this boss. Normally, if your team is patient, you'll get the first stop. However, this didn't happen, but the opening is still the same. Face the boss away from the group, because it has a frontal. After a little bit, the boss will dash to some random player and spawn an ad. Ideally, you'd want to kite that ad back to the middle of the room, because when the boss goes into his swarm phase, you don't have to worry about having a range kick. During the swarm phase, hug the right side so the frontal can't hit anyone in your group, and be careful for the swirls, they hurt. Just ask that guy. The final boss is just pure babysitting your teammates. These dudes are normally too busy staring at the DPS meters, they don't even realise they're about to get run over by a green wave, so use your pings to warn people. For the suck mechanic, honestly, just let go of WASD, and once it gets to 1 second, your character will bounce a little bit. Right after that, just jump. If you do it too early, the little bounce will stop your animation, and you will most likely be sent to the graveyard. But mostly this fight just comes down to being aware of the pools and your teammates, and because VDH has so much CC, you can help your teammates get out of sticky situations like this, no pun intended. This was a blood DK that got trapped, so it wasn't a big deal. However, there's some classes such as priests who only have a fear to escape, so being aware if they can escape their sticky situation can really help out your group. We easily 2-chested this dungeon and got traded ahead, so now we officially have a 2-set. Nice. Immolation Aura deals 30% increased damage and increases soul cleave damage by 20% while active. Huge! After that, we did some tier 11 delves just to get some Gilder crests. But I do want to ask, do you guys actually care about delves? To me, these are giga easy. If you struggle with them, I can try and help you out and talk about it, but overall, it's just not good content in my eyes. Let me know anyway, and hit that like button while you're down there. It's time to clear all the 6s, so up next is a gambit, and we easily 3-chested this key, and here's how we did it. The first area is kinda easy, just make sure you kill the fish sticks, they decrease the damage to all the mobs and heal them up. Also, be worried about the cry of the because if that goes off, it makes the Murloc super angry, and we don't want that. When it comes to tanking the dudes before the first boss, just face the walls and sidestep the frontals. Oh, and don't be like me and soak up their smash. This will probably one-bang you in higher keys. We've already talked about the first boss, but one thing I do want to mention is if you get the beam on you, start running. As for the tanks, keep an eye out where your teammates are running, because you have a frontal to aim. The pack after the first boss will hurt in higher keys. Just be worried about the Super Saiyan. Just be worried about the Super Saiyan mobs. They will turn into Prime Mike Tyson, so either run or calm them down with a soothe. Now, this is where things normally go tits up. That's sideways for my American folks. I think I played this boss pretty well, so I'm just going to speed it up and talk about it. Your goal as a tank is to kill the adds with the frontal, but that can only be done if the enemies are behind the boss. They're fixated adds, so just imagine an invisible line connecting to the players. You'll want to walk the boss along the wall, dropping the swirls as closely to each other as possible. You may run out of room by the 3rd or 4th rotation. We ended up killing the boss, but if you haven't yet, just go back to the start and repeat the same pattern. The lava pools would have been despawned by then. We've already talked about this final area, just make sure you instantly kill the pulse and interrupt the unstable rift. As for the final boss, in phase 2 after you destroy all the rocks, kite the boss to this corner, and if all your teammates stack, they can easily see where the bolts are going. Once the soak phase comes, just let your healer deal with it. After 2 rotations of the star bolts, the boss will go back to the center of the room, so start kiting him back to the middle so you can destroy the rocks again. It did help that we had insane damage this dungeon, so we easily managed to free chest it with no problems. The next dungeon is one we've been avoiding, a 4 Halls of Atonement. But first, how do we prepare for dungeons we've never done before? Normally, you'd say, oh, go and watch a guide, but if you're like me, I'm more of a learn by doing kind of guy, that stuff just ain't fun. So let's talk about my formula, aka the best formula. You ever just looked at the route before the key goes in and just think, what the hell is this? Well, I've got a tip for you. Head over to the dungeon and set your dungeon difficulty to normal. That way you can safely roam around the dungeon without worrying about dying or the death stare you get from your teammates. This also helps to visualize which mobs you're going to pull and which ones you won't. Hey, it even helps you notice there's going to be roaming packs, so when you actually go to do it, you're not confused as to where they are. You even have time to scout out new mobs. For example, this mob. I had no idea he turned into stone, and this helped me out a little bit later in the dungeon. If I just went into a key, I wouldn't have known these bad boys turn into stone. And because I don't have the pressure of wasting my teammates' time, I can stand there and see how long he stays bricked up for.
What do you mean by that?
Also, if you just want to practice gathering, you can set the dungeon to heroic or mythic just to see what the pull is like. You most likely won't survive because these packs takes years to kill, but it's just nice to practice your opening rotation. Now, let's jump into the actual key. And even though you have put the stuff into practice, it doesn't always go as planned. The second pull got a little bit shakier. I didn't think tagging the mobs near the mini elite would aggro them, but this is all about learning. You're always going to run into some hiccups, but if you stay calm and pop your defensives, you'll be fine. It also helps that this is a 4, so even if you run out butt naked, you'll still be chilling. I also learned that some mobs are just harder to gather, especially when your teammates are allergic to kicking. So I will approach certain pulls differently next time. Even after the first boss, I was running into issues. A pull that was meant to be manageable turned into a disaster in a matter of seconds. But because I now know there's a roaming pack I need to pick up, instead of jumping at them or using a sigil, I would simply just taunt one of the mobs so the whole pack run towards me without outgrowing the Reavers. That was a mouthful, holy sh**. I also wasn't clueless when coming up to the skip. I waited patiently for them to get bricked up, and then just passed on by. As for this dungeon, I had no idea what was going on, but once I get a better understanding, I'll let you guys know. We yet again easily 2-chested the key. We got no loot, but we got something even better, experience. We ended up finally jumping into the streets, but sadly, I don't think you can test out the route in this dungeon, so we just did it raw, aka spam opening the map to see if we're going the right way. This was another dungeon where I had no clue what was going on. I was just pulling what I thought was right and hoping I didn't die. But I do know if I see something deadly on the floor, I won't stand in it like this dude. The first mini boss was kinda easy, just don't get hit by the giant frontals and you'll be fine. The first boss, aka General Grievous, is kinda easy. If you're a DPS or healer, you will sometimes get randomly disarmed. All you gotta do is pick up your weapon and get back to whacking. A bit later in the fight though, he will fixate on a player. If you're that fixated player, just run away as far as you can and free your boy as quickly as possible because he's about to get sliced up.
He lives.
I don't know why a dinosaur and 2 giant lava dogs are roaming around the streets, but alright. I think there is a way to cheese the dinosaur, but I've not tried it yet, so I'll get back to you on that one. The second boss, again, is not really memorable. All I know is if you get the suck vortex around you, eat the balls because they make you strong. And if you don't have the vortex around you, don't eat the balls because they don't make you strong. There's yet again another goddamn minigame. All you gotta do on this one is speak to a dude and some ads will spawn. there will be other shopkeepers scattered around that you need to speak to, and again, they will just spawn more ads. After that, it's in my teammates' hands because I don't have a clue what to do next. Oh, and after this, there's another minigame. This time, you've been recruited to join a boy band. What should we call ourselves? The Graveyard Boys? The Dungeon Ditchers? Or have you seen my manor? Roach Out Edition? Yeah, I don't know what to do on this boss either. Hit your notes and slap that keyboard. I never thought it could happen, but we actually wiped on the robot boss. I have no idea what happened. I wasn't pulling my weight with the luggage, and the next minute, everyone was dead. But not us. We ran out and hit him with the Houdini move. On the next run, I actually picked up some bags to help out the boys. The only thing I can suggest is if you're a healer or DPS, don't soak so many of these swirls. There's a big AoE right after this and it can slap super hard. The final boss was also kind of wild. I thought I was cooking at first, but when the zone got divided into 4, I forgot what the hell I was doing and I started running through all the doors like I was getting chased by the dude from Tatesh's castle. We lived, but our teammate didn't. We easily timed this key and we got our best in slot ring. However, we got something even better. You guessed it, experience. It's time now to start picking up 6s again. So we're starting off with a key I'm sure you're all familiar with. Dawnbreaker. You know this dungeon is gonna go well when you can fly without falling through the ship. We had a little bit of a hiccup when the boss just didn't want to move, but that's just a classic at this point. The only other scary bit in this dungeon is during the second mini boss. My only advice is when you get the frontal on you, stay in the same spot until the second cast goes off. This way you can easily stack the frontals and give your teammate more room to do what they do best, tank damage, or in this case, healer damage. Don't be like my dude during the spider boss. Aim the orb down the path and you'll be fine. The only thing to be cautious about as a tank is the ads and the tank buster. It kinda hurts, so pop a defensive and make sure your teammates are not stood on your head. This dungeon is pretty easy, so we 2-chested it. But what about the other keys? Find out next time on All Tanks to Keystone Hero, Obey Edition.